He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who overcomes shall not be hurt by the second death. And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, These things says he who has the sharp two-edged sword. I know your works, and where you dwell, where Satan's throne is. And you hold fast to my name, and did not deny my faith, even in the days in which Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells. But I have a few things against you, because you have there those who hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. Thus you also have those who hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. Repent, or else I will come to you quickly and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth.
Okay, Revelation 2:11 says, He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. Explanation. Those who survive Armageddon and the cataclysm. Armageddon is the first death we're about to go through, the war between right versus wrong. After the 60 years have passed, the hold of negativity is weak enough for right to fight back and win as we get closer to February 5th, 2025. Let this be known. And let me add some context to that. The war between right and wrong is definitely shaping up. Like we already got Kanye dropping names, and before he was doing it about 2 years ago, Miss Jaguar Wright was already airing out a lot of the celebrities for different things. Even with the Chris Brown situation, where she said that Chris didn't put hands on Rihanna. She said she was at the party at Clive Davis' house, and they wanted Chris to do some kind of ritual, and he refused. And she said she remember, if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong, that she said he left by himself. And she said next thing she knows, she seen Rihanna with him later, beat up in the car. But she said that that he didn't want to do something that they wanted him to do at that party, and so that was a kind of like a punishment for him not listening. All right, so Armageddon, according to Noon, had already started before 1962 kicked in. It was already at play, and that's why you could see the 60s was going through the things that was going around the world. We see the same thing now for those of us who know how to get news outside of the regular way. And so now I've seen something in the last 2 days. You can go on Fox and look up this on Fox, where it says Fox released this yesterday. It's called Hunter Biden Probe Launched by GOP. Joe Biden Lied to Americans. So if you go and watch this on Fox, it talks about how everything that they were hiding before 15 days before the 2020 election was a whole bunch of mess. So now they're actually acknowledging it now. So all the stuff about Hunter Biden and the laptop and all this other stuff with Ukraine and China, all that stuff has now been confirmed 2 years after, the negative force of nature was suppressing that. So now that is coming out, and everything that's surrounding with that, you're going to see a lot of things happen, which a lot of it already done played out. Most of you all who wasn't paying attention will start seeing cleaning house. And that's, again, you'll see things going on in the government that were being ran by the negativity, where now you'll see positivity coming out the woodworks handling business. So we're going to see that increasingly up to February of 2025. So there will be an Armageddon, which is a war between right and wrong, not a battle, not a skirmish, not no slap boxing. There will be wars around the world because of the evils that the governments around the world have been participating in and all this underhanded stuff. Okay, so just wanted to add that in there. Revelation 2:12, and to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, these things saith he which hath the short sword with two edges. Revelation 2:13, I know thy works and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is, and thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my favorite martyr, who was slain among you, was Satan dweller. Now remember, the Bible editors were taking things that were in groups and making them singular. All right, so remember, Satan is the moon god, sin, the earth god, meaning every place on the planet, on the surface, that's the earth god, and the underworld god, Pluto, which is underneath, which is the methane deposits and the caverns and all that stuff down there. All three of these individuals make up what Noon calls Satan. Okay, so these three players in the game is where it's talking about. So the seat of Satan on one note is the moon god, and that's Tahuti. So the seat of Tahuti is the brain concentration known as Sipu, the moon. So that part of Satan is there. The other part of Satan, which is the earth god, that whole surface of the planet is the earth god. The female part of the so-called wife or counterpart of the earth god is the atmosphere. That's the female part of the planet, which was called Nut on a lower level by our ancestors. All right, but Nut was another type of Nut, was a different form of the sky. But the sky that you see in the ancient Egyptian mythology and picture, I'm gonna draw that, where Nut is arched over the planet or the ground of Earth. That is Nut, or the wife of Geb, which is the earth god.
You made this one?
then you have Pluto, aka Osiris. Okay, that's the underworld god. That is the seat of Satan down there. And for those who have knowledge and are aware, know that there are a lot of nasty, filthy things going on underground. So that's the seat of Satan there. The same way you have the seat of Satan all over the planet Earth, wherever there's a government agency at, wherever there's some other underhanded business going on, whether it's drug dealing or some other type of crime, big, small, medium, it doesn't matter. These are seats of Satan. Okay, and they making you think it's singular, the same way they take the word God in the Old Testament and you translate the word God, it's actually Elohim, which means that mean gods. That's a plural. That's why when they say in God said let us make man an hour, that's English translating that without translating the word God into gods. So that's the same thing. Elohim is where God would be. And so what they did was they did name plurality in reverse and made you think it's a singular. It's the same thing here. I hope I didn't over-explain that.
Oh my God.
2:14, but I have a few things against thee, because thou has there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. All right. And again, in all these places around planet Earth, you can find this. Remember, I told you there's no 12 tribes of Israel. That's all zodiac. Okay. But the point is, all around the world, people are eating things in the name of idols. Right. And even if it's not a wooden or stone idol, you could take something like Thanksgiving,
Oh my God.
and that Thanksgiving really is about one group of people celebrating how their people got help from the natives that were here, turn around and slaughtered them, and then created a holiday after that. So when people are eating, let's say, food for Thanksgiving in celebration of that, what you're doing is eating things that was done to groups of people after they helped somebody, it was done dirty. Okay? And then that's an extension of Christopher Columbus, who people, even to this day, are idolizing and acting as if, oh, they did a good thing, and, you know, the history was all twisted and turned. So you could take this and run it all over the place. Christmas, whose idol is Jesus and Santa Claus, but there's no Santa Claus
Oh my God. You made this
in Christianity. So when people are celebrating, they are celebrating the murder of a man named Jesus and a resurrection they can't prove happened. And then you have a fat, jolly old Caucasian man who they say sits in the North Pole and rides around on reindeer, breaking into people's houses, eating cookies and milk, and leaving toys. But nobody's ever been able to prove that was even true. With all of the cameras and stuff around, never seen that. Okay, so these, and then again, you got fornication. Fornication is dealing with sex. So if you start getting into the other side of these holidays and other forms that are deeper or occult meanings, you'll find that sex is involved in it in some form or fashion.
Oh my God. You made this one?
we'll move on. Revelation 2:15. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. Okay, so first thing I want to point out, NoopooH are mental, male and female energies. And what NoopooH is saying is that they will give the order, which is the best way to deal with this situation, which is, I told you, we in sentencing time. So now NoopooH has already been calling the shots from February 5th, 1962. Well, from 1926, when Afro was born, in November, all the way to, they made themselves known to him February 5th, 1962, when he was 36 years old, right? All those were nines. And having the orbs start making changes to make way for those who've been chosen, the elect, the elite, and the innocent, to survive Armageddon, right? And pass the cataclysm. They have been giving the word because they don't have a body. They only mental energy. So NoopooH is saying, y'all need to change your ways, or else I will come unto thee quickly. And the quickly is already here. Many people don't even know we're in the sentencing time. They don't know that all of the negative actions that they have been committing have been calculating up against themselves. All right, so NoopooH is speaking to our son about the seed of Satan also, which is 6 ether, that comes from the sun naturally. And this is called Leviathan and Noon signs that came from the sun many millions of years ago at 6 West, and NoopooH used Noon to expose it all. So yes, the sun, also Jupiter, Jupiter, and Saturn, all those are emanating 6 ether. And every orb also have their own version of 6 ether emanating from themselves. So again, we're talking about Satan as far as Noon explained those 3 different players. The moon god seeing the earth itself, the surface, and then the underworld god, meaning things underneath the surface. All right.
Oh my God, you made this one?
Who was the serpent and how did it beguile Eve? The serpent was a Leviathan, a giant sex and spirit force who was able to control peoples and nations by sex and by spirit generated from blood and the waters of the earth. Okay, so this is very important to understand that Leviathan is able to generate spirits and control nations and peoples by the mere fact that you have blood and water a part of the human being. So that in itself should make you think twice excuse me, about the negative actions that we've been carrying out in our lives. Okay, because it's able to control nations of people. That's a large body of people, and there's billions of people on the planet. And Leviathan does this. All right, who has many spirit members and parts distributed throughout the earth, was cast from the sun approximately 17,250,000 years ago, just before the evolutionary cycle began. The moon cycle is the climax of the evolutionary cycle. The serpent, Leviathan, is the moon god Sin, who hypnotized Eve and excited her womanhood by its forces, and in turn Eve excited Adam's manhood, and they had sexual intercourse, which was forbidden by the laws of the sun god. And the sun god is Auntie Jutah. All right, so those who got the BIE and the nature, it clearly tells you the sun god is the planet Jupiter. All right, so this gives me all more confirmation. All right, the serpent Leviathan is the moon god Sin, who hypnotized Eve and excited her womanhood by its forces, and in turn Eve excited Adam's manhood, and they had sexual intercourse, which was forbidden by the laws of the sun god, because Adam and Eve were priests and nuns before Adam and Eve defiled it. Sex was sacred, meaning it was used only out of necessity, not out of lust. The serpent Lucifer brought lust into the picture, and it does this through stimulating sex in various ways, and this is why it is called a sex force as well as a spirit force. Bible Interpretations, Book 1, Letter B. When did the Great Flood of Noah occur, and what caused it? The Great Flood of Noah occurred approximately 17,250,000 years ago, and this means that Noah existed long before Adam in the sense of time. In fact, Adam was a descendant of Noah. The history of the ancients shows that a subcontinent called Atlantis existed at the time of the Great Flood, and it was submerged underwater by Lucifer's fall to earth after being cast from the sun. As it came to earth, the great serpent's power caused interference with the magnetism that controls the earth and moon in their courses, and this interference brought on the great deluge, both from the sky and the waters of the earth, which rolled over the parts of the planet like tidal waves. Lucifer is Leviathan in Job, the 41st chapter, Isaiah, the 27th chapter, 1st verse, Revelation 12th chapter, 9th verse, Genesis 3 chapter 1 verse, who is the moon god, called sin by the ancients. Noah's arch is the crescent of the moon. So in this case, Alpha Uno was identifying the moon god Sin, who we know as Tahuti, as Lucifer, and that's the serpent whose the Bible editors made it appear that it was a snake talking to the Adam and Eve group of priests and nuns, but it actually was Tahuti, who was again a spirit force. So again, if you get in the nature books, it goes into that story how that actually took place. All right, we won't go into that now. And Bible Interpretation and Explanation, Book 1, Letter G.
He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat, and I will give him a white stone, and on the stone a new name written, which no one knows except him who receives it. And to the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things says the Son of Elohim, who has eyes like a flame of fire, and his feet like fine brass. I know your works, love, service, faith, and your patience. And as for your works, the last are more than the first. Nevertheless, I have a few things against you, because you allow that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit sexual immorality and eat things sacrificed to idols. And I gave her time to repent of her sexual immorality, and she did not repent. Indeed, I will cast her into a sickbed, and those who commit adultery with her into great tribulation, unless they repent of their deeds. I will kill her with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he who searches the minds and hearts. And I will give to each one of you according to your works. Now to you I say, and to the rest in Thyatira, as many as do not have this doctrine, who have not known the depths of Satan, as they say, I will put on you no other burden. But hold fast what you have till I come. And he who overcomes and keeps my works until the end, to him I will give power over the nations. He shall rule them with a rod of iron. They shall be dashed to pieces like the potter's vessels. As I also have received from my Father, and I will give him the morning star. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.
Revelation 2:17 says, He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. Explanation. NoopooH is not speaking about a stone, number one. Number two, there are no stones in the sun. The hint is in the word white. Let's start at what white means in this quote. Strong Concordance number 3022, Lukos, meaning bright or white, bright, brilliant. And this is just some using it in the sentence, one hair, white or black. All right, you can find that in Matthew 17:2, but the definition is an adjective, lukos. Okay, it means white, bright, and brilliant. Listen to Soundright Cosmic Reason. The stone isn't a stone. It's the bright white light that comes from our sun, which the true color is white at this time. Not yellow or red when viewed outside Earth's atmosphere. What is the color of the sun? The sun is our major source of light and heat for our planet. It spreads a variety of distinct colors across the sky every day. It is fascinating to see the sky change its hues from light red to bright golden shimmer and then to a pink glow during the sunset. Just by looking at the sunlight, one often thinks that sunlight is yellow and then it gradually changes to orange. However, upon close scientific inspection, the facts point to something else entirely, that sunlight is actually white in color. But on deeper inspection, the white light of the sun is divided further into 7 colors of the rainbow. So let us understand what color sunlight exactly is and why it is so. Why are there 7 colors in sunlight? The sun's rays are actually white in color and form a mixture of the 7 colors we see in a rainbow, i.e. violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red, commonly called Vigayor. The sun appears to have different colors during the course of a day because of a process called dispersion. Dispersion of light is a phenomenon by which white light splits up into 7 consistent colors due to the refractive index of the surface of incident and different speeds the different constitute colors have in a medium. The refractive index of a material is defined as a dimensionless number that can describe how fast light travels through a particular material. Different lights have different wavelengths and hence different refractive indices in a given material. This causes them to split apart from the original white light and form a spectrum of 7 colors. Also referred to the book Solar Cycles and the Coming of NoopooH, I will have books 1 and 2, Reason, Son of Ray, Our Son as a Creator, and NoopooH Revelation Interpretations Chapter 1. These books explain also how our Son has woolly hair as stated in Revelation Chapter 1 verse 14. They can be found on lulu.com. All you gotta do is just type my name in the search bar.
You made this one?
And these are the books that I was referring to. Revelation 2:17. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna. I will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it. Explanation. The hidden manna is having the reasonability to discern between facts and lies. The white stone is non-mind NoopooH sending intelligence to planet Earth through the white light of our sun. Here's the numeric proof. The name that no man knew of Earth was NoopooH's name except Afro-Unu, who NoopooH was communicating with directly.
You made this one?
Alright, you got white stone. The white stone comes out to 59. A white light comes out to 59. Revelation 2:18. And unto the angels of the church in Thyatira write, these things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. Explanation. NoopooH speaketh to our moon from their throne. The Son. This Son of God topic shall be explained at this junction. In the case of Jesus, the resurrection was a fabricated story designed to deceive the world, just as the story of Immaculate Conception and Ascension was fabricated to spellbind the people also. Religion history show record of at least 14 such stories like that of Jesus, all existing before the time of Jesus. Those stories like that of Jesus were impractical and illogical. They were allegory. All of those virgin-born resurrection ascension tales were mainly Indian legends in the East and West. Originally, however, the life, death, resurrection, ascension story came from the Ethiopian, the woolly-haired people. But when only the Ethiopian had it, it was understood that the story was description of the works of nature. But when the Caucasian got hold of the story from the Phoenicians, they took the real understanding out of it and used the story to fascinate darker peoples into spiritual ignorance and gullibility for the purpose of oppression and exploitation. Excuse me. The Ethiopian story about nature covered a 24-hour period, and it went this way. The sun is the king and ruler of the solar system who sits on the throne at midday. This is the time the sun is highest in the sky. The sun is the bright and morning star and light of the world, who by his ray light gives life to the world, meaning the earth and the things thereof, and the rest of the solar system, because the sun is the burning, that is the original source of all lesser burning, natural and artificial, in the solar system. The sun is the creator of the solar system, meaning the planets and their satellites in this part of the universe. From his throne, the sun condescends and descends to earth. When the sun reaches the earth, he sheds blood, the red hue of the sunset, by which he gives life to the world, as he is put to death on the cross, meaning on the earth, because the astronomical symbol of the earth and moon is a cross in a circle. Look under the word planet in a dictionary with a table of the planets. He, the sun, is put to death by the demons of darkness, sundown. The sun enters hell or darkness called the grave, gravitation, and rises from the grave, the dead, in the morning, sunrise or levitation. Victorious over death, hell, and the grave, and ascends back into the heaven where he always reigns. The foregoing is the gist of the Ethiopian story concerning the sun. More and more ideas were added to the story until it was eventually applied to individual men, such as Krishna, Rama, Buddha, Jesus, and others. Then the true meaning of the story was lost. In the true original meaning of the story, the sun was also used to symbolize the death of vegetation in the winter when the sap of nature goes down, and the life of vegetation in the summer when the sap comes up. The phrase son of God used by the Caucasian in the Bible was turned son of nature in the Ethiopian story. In other words, Caucasians changed the phrase son of nature to son of God in order to deceive. However, the phrase son of God is in keeping with Caucasian origin. In other words, the phrase son of God is right for Caucasian. We can see from what has been stated in the foregoing paragraphs, there's no such thing as a physical resurrection for physical dead people, neither individually nor collectively, because the body and the mind are the soul, and they cannot be restored to usefulness after physical death. The resurrection mentioned in the Bible, though false, can be applied to resurrection of the mentally dead people who at the end of the moon cycle, the cycle of ignorance, are being resurrected by right knowledge from the grave of spiritual and cultural ignorance, gullibility, and injustice, that they might take their proper place and position in the life of liberty, unity, justice, equality, and rightness. Bible Interpretation and Explanation, Book 274 through 78, Revelation 2:19, the year 2019. I know thy works in charity and service and faith, and thy patience and thy works and the last to be more than the first. Explanation. NoopooH is telling Afro Unu that they know the African race is at the bottom of the human race totem. However, we will be restored from this disgrace. Revelation 2:20, the year 2020. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman, Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants, to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. NoopooH speaking to Amun this way because Amun, Sipu, took on the promise and the covenant to stop allowing the guilty to get a pass after February 5th, 1962 AD, and still keeping the black people serving people that are against themselves. Listen to reason. Amun Sin is one of the ancient names of the moon and moon god. Originally had lakes and rivers of water until the suns and the universes died scientific death 18 million years ago. When the writer states that the moon produces hermaphrodites, he means on planet Earth by way of mind and spirit, because there was never any major life organisms on the moon because of its status as being new to gender. And when the moon lost its water to planet Earth at 0.6 west, the beginning of evolution and death on the circular order 18 million years ago, the moon stopped turning on its own axis and started dragging through space instead of rolling. Thereby became an outstanding opposition to the sun, and increasing so until the end of the moon cycle, which is at present time, the present time being at the marking of year 1962. Let it be remembered always, let it be known. It's addicted to the Nature Book 2, page 57. Let me say this also. The sun that the moon is in opposition to is Auntie Jutah, because she and the moon take turns ruling in the bottom half. The sun does not rule in the bottom half. All right? Auntie Jupiter does. And I said this many, many times, but I just want to just bring that in there for more clarification. Jezebel is the United States. Here is the numeric proof. Jezebel is 34. The USA is 34. Revelation 2:21 is equal to the year 2021, which we are in right now. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Explanation. The space of time was February 5th, 1962 to February 5th, 2022. 60 years in total, or 1 hour. This time was cut in half in Revelation chapter 8, verse 1 by the Bible rewriters to half an hour, or 30 years, to cause confusion to those who would read it. And remember, we are now in the sentencing times. From February 5th, 2022 to February 5th, 2025 is sentencing time. And let me correct this. I didn't mean to say Revelation 2021 that we are in right now. Let me correct that. That was last year. All right, moving forward, Revelation 8:1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. Okay, so that's just to support that up there, what I was saying about how they was playing with the time. Because half an hour is 30 years, but a whole hour is 60. What you talking about, 60 years, but they cut that in half and say half an hour because they didn't want people to realize that a whole hour is symbolic of the 60 years that I was telling y'all about up above. February 5th, 1962 to February 5th, 2022 is 60 years or an hour, and they halved it to 30, saying half an hour, but it's not that. It was 60 years. All right, Revelation 2:22, which is the year 2022, where we are right now. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. So now you're starting to see in the sentencing every crime that is perpetrated on the planet is based upon Leviathan, and Leviathan is a deception force, it's a sex force, it's a lust force, it's a criminal force. It causes humans to do all types of things. So as you watch the news, you're going to find that everything that all of these leaders, world leaders, politicians, whether it's a mayor, the governor, it doesn't matter. You're going to find sex will be at the bottom, the core, the source of everything. Okay? So, behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. Explanation. This is the 60 years that was mentioned already. Revelation 2:23, which is the year 2023 that's coming. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searches the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. So in this case, remember, NoopooH are male and female energies, and they do not kill. All right? The justice that are going to be carried out is going to be carried out by none other than the orbs. Because remember, unto Jupiter is the planet of justice in astrology. Saturn or Saturna, she's the planet of bringing in karma, which is negative teaching tools and punishments, and in Dharma, which is the positive side of karma. They just don't throw that word around a lot. But Dharma is positive karma. And karma by itself just is, most of people just say is negative. But Dharma is another word that you can use. So that's what you're seeing now. And a lot of it is going to come up to the forefront so people can see. And again, everybody's going to be judged according to what you've done and what you need to equal stand as well. If you did things that set off a chain of events, your karma will continue. All right? So it's a difference between you doing certain things that are negative, but they don't go no further than what you did. You see what I'm saying? So be very careful about that. Understand, if you got the nature books, you need to go into the kindred laws. Or if you got the the laws of pleasure and pain. So again, a lot of people are doing things that are setting off chains of events that is only making it worse for themselves. Okay? All right, let's go forward. All right, so we just went through that. Okay, NoopooH is talking to the 7 orbs and planets, saying that the justice forces will bring judgment on all the inhabitants on their planets according to their deeds, because justice time is everywhere, not just on Earth. NoopooH does not kill, they are benevolent. Revelation 2:24. This is in the year 2024. But unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden. So now we're at the precipice. Now we're right there at the door to the year 2024. So this is being told to everybody who survives Armageddon. Because if you survive Armageddon unto the cataclysm, that means that you passed the first death, which is a good thing. Explanation. Listen to reason. Also, if one knows not for a fact the composition of a person or thing he or she is talking about, he does not know what he is talking about or the nature of what he is talking about. Moreover, if you give me the composition of the person or thing you speak of, I can then determine for myself whether that person or thing is capable of creating or growing a universe and its offsprings, such as flesh and blood beings and vegetation. Then too, if a book is truly a book of knowledge instead of ignorance, mystery and deception, it must answer the knowledge questions: how, where, why, when, what, who, which, beginning of, nature of, and ending of, whenever and wherever possible. If one is not knowledge-wise, the forces and powers of knowledge cannot properly work with that person who is without knowledge, except to give him or her correct information, because a person must learn how to use knowledge, correct information by way of reason after he gets knowledge, which is most definitely correct information. Let it be remembered, always let it be known. Introduction to the Nature, Book 2, page 214. NoopooH is saying that people in America who are ignorant to NoopooH 6 ether forces will not be held accountable for not knowing. And you can apply this around the world too. Revelation 2:25, which is the year 225 of the cataclysm. But that which you have already, hold fast till I come. Explanation. This has happened already. Refer to solar cycles and the coming of NoopooH book for more information. This quote is basically saying whatever information that you're following, and follow that to the best of your knowledge, wisdom, and ability. And if it's positive and it keeps you safe from Armageddon, by the time you make it to the year 2025, it's telling you to hold on to that. So as NoopooHs, we got the Bible interpretation, the 9 ball counts, and the nature books, and whatever other information that has been put out there specifically for myself. So this information is what you should hold on to until the cataclysm comes, because that's going to be the second death. Revelation 2:26. In the year 2026, after cataclysm, and he that overcometh, talking about the cataclysm, and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Revelation 2:27, also the year 2027, after the cataclysm, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. Revelation 2:28, the year 2028, after cataclysm, and I will give him the morning star. Revelation 2:29, the year 229 after cataclysm. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Explanation. These quotes are speaking about Afro-Unu as the ruler of Africa. He will be 18 years old at the establishment of the coming kingdom.
It's 1 o'clock.
18, 1 plus 8 equals 9. Let this be remembered well. Listen to reason. Physically, the African Noon Kingdom of planet Earth would be all the motherland Africa, excuse me, and her surrounding islands. And mentally and spiritually, the king of the African Noon Kingdom, whose acronym is TANK, is Nature NoopooH, emanating from the centers of universe orbs, such as the sun, earth, and moon, and whose writer plus messenger is Afro-Unu, the scribe of the positive words known as Noon. The African Noon Kingdom will come into being after Armageddon, the climax war between justice and injustice, with justice prevailing. But physically, spiritually, and mentally, the gathering of the African Noon Kingdom tank starts with members of the Ethiopian race everywhere becoming NoopooHs, those persons who accept, learn, and practice the 9 science Noon, and thereby become elites, those chosen to survive Armageddon, the climatic war of the climax action called the Point 3 South Cataclysm. Remember. Introduction to the Nature, Book 2, page 210.
Oh my god, you made this one?
Alright, that is the end of that. See y'all on the next one. True to calm the peace in martial wartime.